Suzuki is the king of downsizing. When it comes to producing and making cars, they take pride in the fact that they make their cars a little smaller than the competition. From the Suzuki Celerio, the Swift, the Ertiga, and now we have this small SUV in the Suzuki Vitara. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Leroy, and we have the 2020 Suzuki Vitara. Thank you so much for watching another review for today. We're gonna take a look at the inside and the outside of this car, take it for a little spin. But remember the name Vitara? The Vitara is the legendary name from the 90s. It's a small SUV. Remember, you had this kuya or your Tito when you were a child. They'd give you money, they'd give you candy whenever you see them, but they'd be your idols. They'd be picking up chicks on the weeknights and go trekking on the weekdays. That was the image of the Suzuki Vitara back then. Then you lose contact with them. Then you meet them in the 2010s and this comes out. It's more refined, it's more in touch with their more feminine side. Do you think that the 2020 Vitara would still be your next SUV? Let's find out. Before we take this for a spin, let's take a look at the engine. It's a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. It makes 115 horsepower and 156 newton meters of torque. Now that may not sound so much when it compares to its contemporaries, but consider that this is a small SUV, so that should be enough power. It powers the front wheels and it has 4 disc brakes all around. That has electronic brake force distribution and anti-lock brakes. As safety features, now speaking of safety features, it all has 6 airbags on the inside, hill descent and hill assist control, and that's pretty much it. I can't wait to take this for a spin. First things first, let's talk about the exterior, particularly this front end, which really grabs your attention. They have this front chrome slats in the front, which reminds you of a Hummer. It's trying to reach out to that kind of theme, but this car, a Hummer it ain't. Now, these are included only in the facelifted model. It wasn't in the old one when it was first released, but late last year, they decided to update that. Now, the grille seamlessly integrates itself into these projector halogen headlamps, which I think it's a clean look, and it seamlessly blends well with this daytime running lamps and fog light. Now, if you notice, this lower part of the chin kind of harkens back to the 90s Vitara, and seemingly wants to go off-road, but this car definitely won't. It's made for the urban jungle, and that's where it's gonna thrive. Now, heading over to the side of the Vitara, it gets even more interesting and continues on with the throwback theme of the entire vehicle. You notice this black strip of plastic at the side of the vehicle that acts as side skirts and liners for the wheel arches. It wants to say that I'm still an SUV, I'm still a Vitara, hey, check me out. And then it gets contacted with these large sweeping lines, character lines at the side, and this black B-pillar that acts like a foundation for this white roof. Let me say something about that white roof. It really makes it look more interesting. It then harkens back to that feminine touch, calling out to the Mini Cooper. Now, if you notice that the front hood bulges up just quite a bit, just screaming more machismo, but it actually adds more space in order to add that black plastic up front, which is another callback to SUVs, Suzuki SUVs of the 90s. Overall, the side panel looks great. It's not boring at all, and it has its own identity. Good job with the Suzuki in this one. Now, I want to say something about these mags. These are 17-inch mags, which may look kind of interesting because it seems like machined, but it's not. It's just painted on. It just adds character to the wheel. The 5 spokes actually add more sportiness and flair to how the overall car looks. But one thing of note is the stock tires that come out of the factory. These are Continental Conti Premium Contact tires, which are quite premium. So you really get more for what you pay for in this car. Now at the rear, it gets even more interesting. In fact, it gets kind of busy. These tail lamps, they actually look like badges out of Superman's chest, if you see what I mean. But they kind of add more character. It makes things more interesting for the Suzuki Vitara. One thing that I would probably find an issue later on is this high loading dock. This means that if you open up the hatch, if you want to put in your stuff inside, you'll have to lift those luggage up higher than you would usually do in a normal hatchback. But overall, it's a good look. You got the black trim continuing on at the back, and the reverse lights are actually quite low at the bottom, which is fine because once you get inside, if you hit reverse, this camera, which is well integrated into the whole look, into the car, will actually see what the rear lamps are illuminating. So overall, the rear look of the Vitara is quite interesting, and if you see this down the road, I think you'll really appreciate how it looks. Let's take a look at that rear hatch, shall we? Opening it up is a breeze, but let me tell you what I was talking about earlier about this high loading bay. So it's pretty high, it's good to sit in, but if you want to put your bags in, you'll have to lift it a little higher than you usually will have to. But I guess you'll have to do more curls at the gym, that means. So if you notice, the space in the back of the Suzuki Vitara isn't that much. You only get this much amount of space, but check this out. It has a 60/40 folding configuration. So the seats fold flat. You have a fairly flat floor when it comes to the back here, so you can fit bigger items. And it has another neat trick. Just slide the floor like so, and you can get a few more inches of space to utilize. Checking out that spare tire from the rear. Just slide this right over. No sweating. And if you pull this tab right up, it gives you the donut style spare tire. It may not be much, you can only reach 80 kilometers per hour on this, but that should be enough for you to reach the nearest vulcanizing shop. I can't wait to tell you more about the interior, because that's where the Suzuki Vitara has its A game. I mean, Suzuki has been the king of the interiors the past few years, and actually borders on Euro looks. When it comes to the steering wheel, it's leather wrapped right here, and it has multiple buttons for you to control your media player and your cruise control. Overall, it's a good look. It has just the right diameter to be sporty, and behind the wheel peaks the shifter buttons. It's the paddle shifters for you to remind you that you can have fun every once in a while. What's surprising is for this price point, the top portion of the dashboard is actually soft touch material. No hard plastics right here. See, even if I knock on them, you won't have that unsightly plasticky look. It does have it though on the side panels, but that shouldn't be a problem so much. Now, the circular aircon vents are quite interesting to look at, and if you notice, the middle part of the dashboard has a old-timey clock in the middle. I wonder if the kids these days can still know how to read this clock, being digital and everything. You got your shifter column easy to reach right here. Thankfully, this one has an armrest, because the previous model before the facelift didn't have this. So Suzuki has been listening to its clients. Although the dashboard is plastic and soft touch on the top though, this one on the bottom has that hard type. But with the way it's molded, the way it's crafted, there are no unwieldy or unsightly gaps to mention. It doesn't look cheap at all. It has this reflective material in the middle. So instead of having chrome, you got this sheen matte texture, which doesn't carry any fingerprints at all, so there shouldn't be any problems. The seats are fairly supportive, although again you have to keep in mind that this comes at an entry-level price point. They're only manual adjusted. You can adjust your height and your tilt, no problems. They're very supportive. It has leather trim on the side and this really plush material that I think I want to call it felt. Is it felt? I know. I want to call it felt, but it's much softer than that, so no problems. The dash is well constructed, no wiggles, no creaks at all, and that shouldn't be a problem. I want to save the best for last though, because look at this touch screen. This is a 10-inch touchscreen which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's all I've ever asked for my infotainment system, for you to easily integrate your smartphone with the car. And what more can I say about the car? Oh, like I said, I'm saving the best for last. Take a look. So, a panoramic sunroof will for you to enjoy, as well as your rear passengers. So Once you tap it once, it clears away the cloth cover, and then tap it twice. The glorious sun you can bathe in. Wow. And it goes away all to the back, so you can go all hello Manila mode. Or probably if you can raise the seats up, this could be a convertible. Nah, just kidding. They never really pulled any punches here, Suzuki, with the interior, and it's all good. Definitely a winner when it comes to this category. Now let's check out the rear amenities. Okay, as expected from a subcompact SUV, there isn't a lot of room in the back. So although there is enough knee room for me to fit in, my feet can barely fit and has to settle under the seats. There's also no center armrest for me to place my arm in, so there's no lounge mode in this. And although you do have map lights for the rear passengers, that is kind of thoughtful, but because of that awesome sunroof, it does give you a penalty for your headroom. So even if I sit upright, yeah, my head doesn't have any headroom to speak of, so I'll just have to sit like this. There's a lot of compromises in the back, I have to say. There's no rear louvers. The center tunnel is quite large, so there's no way for me to go to the other side of the bench that easy. And if I sit in the middle, it's still supportive, but this is not a good way for me to go if I would go out on long trips. The seats are fairly soft and supportive, I have to say that, but I don't want to be at the back seat. I'd rather be up front. And why is the sunroof still closed? Let's open that up. There you go. Maybe I can stick my head out, maybe my head will fit in, and at least I can go on party mode. I think that's better than lounge mode. In stop and go traffic like this, the Suzuki Vitara finds its natural habitat. The engine is smooth, refined, and it's easy to drive. So even in gridlock traffic, stuck in EDSA, C5, wherever you are, Suzuki Vitara is just a chill drive. I forgot to mention one more thing that will help you in driving, that it has adjustable steering column for both tilt and reach, so it's not going to be a problem. Steering is quite light, especially in low speed, but with electronic power steering, it firms up when you get up to speed on the highway, so that should not be a problem there. So there we go, let's try the steering. That's tight. Because of the small wheelbase, steering is direct and precise. It's all good in this car. Visibility is amazing. Being an SUV, you get an upright seating position and get a commanding view of the road. Seems to be just right. It seems like we have a winner in this car. Flooring the accelerator down. Yeah, that's not so much power. But again, what do you expect from a compact SUV at this price point? You can only expect proper comfort, good driving dynamics, great handling, and good fuel economy. If you temper your expectations right and don't think of this as a sports car at all, you're going to enjoy the Suzuki Vitara. I know I do. I think this is going to be on my short list of dream cars that you can maybe possibly buy. Good job, Suzuki. So there you have it, guys. We've seen the ins and outs and we've seen how the Vitara drives. But how does it stack up to the rest of the cars on our Philkotse website? We're going to give it a Philkotse grade. When it goes to practicality, it's not class leading to say the least. You'll have to lift yourself a bit higher just to put it in the rear hatch, but you can fold the seats down for even more room. Rear passengers would be at a loss if I would be driving in front, but at least it's chock full of all the goodies you'd want in a car. So for practicality, we're gonna give it a 3 out of 5. When it comes to looks, the Suzuki Vitara is a throwback to the 90s mini SUV. With all the right things in the right places and the right curves in the right spots, you can't go wrong with this mini SUV from Suzuki. For looks, we're going to give it a 4 out of 5. When it comes to performance, the 1.6-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder turns out 115 horsepower and 156 Nm of torque. Now that might not sound much on paper, but considering this is a compact SUV, every bit of that horsepower and torque counts. Plus, what does 9 to 10 kilometers in the city sound like per liter? Doesn't sound half bad to me. So for performance, let's give it a 4 out of 5. When it comes to value, the Vitara is in a weird situation. It has new competition from the Chinese brands like the Geely Coolray and MG ZS. So it definitely is hard for them to top those brands with those cutthroat prices, but Suzuki decided to throw everything but the kitchen sink on the Vitara with electronic goodies and doodads like the panoramic sunroof, Android Auto, and that 10-inch display. You really can't go wrong with this, but you have to consider the competition as well. So for value, let's give it a 3 out of 5. So what's it gonna be? Is the Suzuki Vitara your next crossover? Does it live up to the hype of the 90s Suzuki Vitara? I think it kinda does. With all the stylings in the right places, it pays tribute and homage to the old 90s Vitara. But setting its sights to the future, I think this Vitara can be your next compact crossover. So for a Philkotse score, let's give it a 3.5 out of 5. Are you in the market for a brand new Suzuki Vitara, or maybe in line for a 90s one? Well, head over to Philkotse.com. What's Philkotse.com, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Philkotse.com is your portal for all your car buying and selling needs. Just head on over to our website, hit the search button, search for Suzuki Vitara, and everything from the brand new to the used Suzuki Vitara will be yours for the taking. Make sure that you tell the dealers that Philkotse sent you, and they'll give you one of the best deals that they can have. Thank you for watching another car review for Philkotse.com. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this video. Make sure that you hit that notification icon down below so you are notified whenever we upload a new video. Thank you for watching. It's your boy Leroy. Peace.